And good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our very first live TNT. I'm Tim.
And I'm Nick.
And it is Chinese New Year, also known as Lunar New Year. I'm not sure if it's just politically incorrect to say Chinese New Year. But anyway, Happy Lunar New Year, just in case you might get mildly offended. And Gong Si Fa Chai, or what's the other one?
Gongsi Fatai. It's pronounced the same. The writing, it looks similar.
But yes, neither of us traditionally celebrate Lunar New Year. However, we've got our T-shirts on. I bought them for the Saturday program, but I thought, we'll wear them twice and get 2 days out of them. Otherwise, we won't be able to use them for another 12 years.
Yeah.
So the format of the show is basically I'm going to go through all the stories as I usually do on TNT. Nick's going to monitor your comments, and if you make a comment about any of the stories whilst we're talking about them, we'll introduce those to the commentary. Then we'll always address comments from a few days ago, in this case the Saturday programs, any interesting comments that we thought that were worth passing on. And just checking, I'm a Kiwi living in Sweden, says Paul Culkin. Obviously, you can hear us okay. We've got the mics working. We also noticed if you hit the desk, it comes through the mic. So we're being very careful not to hit the desk. We've got to find a way to isolate the microphones a bit more. For those people that say, yeah, you're talking about your microphones and your sound.
They're speaking of that, they're asking to turn up the volume.
I don't know if we can turn the volume up. We can probably just do that.
I think
that's about it. We can't. All I can say at the moment is we're sort of pumping it out at this end, and it's on the red, so we can't really go any further. You might just have to turn the volume up at your end until we get things fully sorted out. So let's go to today's stories, and I was going to start with this one, which is a sign. I think I saw this on Facebook. And this area, children must stay in charge of parent, which is usually the opposite to the way that those signs usually read. Not sure. You can't read Thai, can you?
No, I cannot.
I'll have to get somebody who can.
Those are hieroglyphics. Yeah.
It is hieroglyphics. I call it the squiggles. And just because I'm ignorant, I did start learning. I think I learned about 3 letters and I thought, I'm just not going to get through this. But yes, this area, children must stay in charge of parent. So the main story today, we'll get into this, is a proposal to actually legislate for Thailand's sex workers. And I think intrinsically this might make a bit of a sea change to the whole sex industry here in Thailand. Let's just go through the story and we'll get your comments about the legislation. And so it says that Thailand's exploited vulnerable sex workers could soon be protected by law, and this is being covered by Thai PBS World. Many thousands of Thais have worked in the sex industry for decades without legal protection, so it's not surprising that most of them are looking forward eagerly to the passage of the Sex Workers Protection Bill. Nick, I was thinking that they've not had many bills to protect prostitution and sex workers.
No, they've not.
And it's sort of just like a lot of other industries, just sort of happened, and now it needs protection. During COVID-19, for example, the Thailand sex workers, and we understand, for example, in Pattaya, there's about 30,000 alone, is they had no protection at all. They got no payments or welfare payments. So I think that really exemplified the problems that they have, that they've really got nothing to fall back on. They've got no laws. Yeah. They sort of don't exist. Anyway, interested in your comments on this story. Let's go a bit further and pressing buttons. In the 13 years, this is a 37-year-old sex worker, the third paragraph there, says she's been selling sexual services and she's witnessed operators use harsh tactics to control sex workers and ensure they keep bringing in the money. And she pointed out the owners of venues where sex is traded must themselves pay officials under the table as prostitution remains illegal, and owners of so-called girly bars also fine the sex workers, allegedly heavily, if they fail to show up at work for a day or two. And sometimes operators deduct money from the commission the women make on drinks bought for them by customers, hoping they'll be far too drunk to notice. I don't know if you know much about you actually got an interesting story that we won't tell.
No, we don't have to do that.
It's not a bad story, by the way. It's just quite a humorous story, but we won't talk about it.
William says, it's about time sex workers were legally incorporated, and I agree. I think it's been an outstanding problem for far too long.
Sure has, and but I do think it's going to make a profound change to the situation. And I know a lot of people that use the various services of bar girls, and we should also say that not all bar girls are sex workers, but many are. But I think a lot of people who use their services don't like to sort of see them as sex workers or prostitutes. But we're just calling a spade here, and just reading from this story of Thai PBS. Since prostitution is illegal, technically, venues providing sexual services are not registered and therefore not subject to regulations on hygiene and safety. As a result, sex workers are vulnerable to disease and on-the-job injuries. They could have probably used better terminology there. So this is what's going to protect. The bill is being pushed by the Department of Women's Affairs and Family Development in a bid to undo the 1996 Prostitution Suppression Act. So I think that act was probably more about obviously suppressing prostitution rather than actually recognising that it happens. This bill is obviously more about protecting the workers. And the department commissioned Thammasat University to prepare the content of the draft bill. We believe the final draft will be ready next month. Now, this is going to be an interesting dynamic as well because, of course, the Parliament is sort of de facto wound up because so many MPs have moved from one party to another. They can't get a quorum together in Parliament. They can't pass the cannabis bill, for example, the new what would you call it? Sex Equality Act, which will allow same-sex partners to marry. They can't get to that. They certainly won't be able to get to this draft bill for Thailand sex workers. Moving on with that story, and this is some of the things that legislation should or could cover. They'd receive proper payments from customers or venue operators. All benefits and conditions will have to be set in writing. So there might be sort of a scale on the wall, like when you sort of order a taxi, how much it's going to cost to get to locations. This is what...
A bit more of a menu.
The different services are going to cost.
Speaking of which, Agent Dark mentions they should legalize sex workers in Thailand just like Amsterdam. And Kijay also says, this is good news. Does the proposed bill include regular mandatory testing as well?
Well, that would be a really good idea. I'm not sure if we'll keep on going through some of these things the law is going to propose to cover. See if we can find that. All benefits, 1, 2, 3, the third paragraph. Most importantly, the bill gives sex workers the right to refuse to provide services at any time, and customers can refuse to buy the service. And with the tick there, it says the bill defines sex venue operators as intermediaries who coordinate or procure sexual services for customers with or without benefiting from a share of the earnings. The legislation also requires operators to seek a license. So I think a lot of this has sort of happened de facto, and there's been nothing really covering the way that these bars offering these services have been able to set up. So I might have a chat to some people who run some of these bars. I know a few of them, not well, but I do know some of them, and I thought it might be interesting to sort of get their perspective on this. Is there any more on that story? Yeah. The Sex Workers Protection Bill seeks to clamp down on child abuse and the trafficking of minors. The bill will penalise anyone who pays for sex with a minor aged 15 to 17, a jail term between 1 and 3 years, plus a fine of 20,000 to 60,000 baht. And if a parent or guardian is aware of or an accomplice in such a transaction with their child, they will also face up to 20 years in jail and a maximum fine of 40,000 baht. So the situation of a proposed sex worker. What are they calling the bill? Does it have a name? Sex Workers Protection Bill is what it's called. Any more comments on that particular matter?
Frank in Thailand says, in Holland it's legal and they pay tax, and you can get a receipt as well.
For tax purposes?
For tax purposes. So does that mean I can go to the VAT spot in the airport?
Might get a few raised eyebrows.
Yeah. It's a joke. We're being satirical.
Yes.
JVM also asks, how do they regulate workers and establish owners? How do they regulate workers and establishment owners? Are they breaking a law?
Well, I suppose if they're going to say that the owners of these establishments are going to have to be registered, assumedly the girls or the boys may also have to be registered as well. Mm-hmm. Because any person who works for a business, they have to, they get a tax file, and that's how it all works. And then they're eligible for various welfare. They'd also have to pay tax. So it wouldn't so much be just sort of under the table cash payments. It's going to be obviously legislated, and they're going to have to do everything properly.
He also mentions, I would think they would need to legalize an industry before regulating.
Well, yes, I think obviously this legislation would codify the sex worker practice, and it would then set out what they consider to be sex workers. So that will de facto legalize it, and then they'll have laws. But it may be that this time, unlike another law that was they tried to change last year, they might actually get the legislation right and pass through Parliament before they actually legalise sex work in Thailand.
John says sex workers should be protected just as customers. 50-50 blame, just like marriage.
Yeah, well, it seems that both the sex worker and the customer will be able to refuse services or payment. So it looks like it's being put together in quite a professional and more contemporary fashion. And obviously, they've had a lot of chats, these people at Thammasat University, putting the legislation together. Would the Thai Parliament pass this? I would say there'd be a quite strong chance that they probably would. It seems that a lot of the MPs appear to be quite progressive. When you look at the bills that are outstanding at the moment, a cannabis bill and same-sex union bill, there does seem to be a sort of a progressive vibe in the Parliament.
Mm-hmm. And finally, Tropic Thunder comments, no glove, no love. Keep it real, brothers.
Well, yes, and I think that's always good advice. Let's go to our next story today, and it's also from Thai PBS World, Nick. And Fly Dubai's maiden direct flight from Dubai arrives in the U Tapao airport, and there it is arriving. It doesn't look like a particularly large plane. I'm not sure. We'll see if we can find out what sort of plane it is for the aviation aficionados, but it's getting the royal salute there with the arch of spray from the firefighting trucks. And let's hope that the firefighting trucks use the spray just for welcoming aircraft and not for any other purpose. And press that button there. The maiden direct flight by the Fly Dubai airline from Dubai obviously touched down at U Tapao Airport, Thailand's Chonburi province, on Friday night, and was carrying 158 passengers. Doesn't really give us much of a clue. It could either be a very big Airbus 321, or it could be... You into aeroplanes?
Old ones.
Old ones. What's your favourite plane?
It's very stereotypical. The P-51 Mustang.
Oh, like it's a fighter plane, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
40mm cannons. Anyway.
Moving on with that story, and the passenger, including 6 tourism bloggers. Yeah, how can we get into this gig? How can we be included as vloggers and bloggers and get invited to go on trips?
Oh, I think we'd have to go out and vlog stuff first.
Rather than sitting in a room and vlogging stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but that wouldn't be a bad gig. They were greeted at U Tapao Airport on Friday night. Third paragraph. According to the TAT, Fly Dubai will operate 7 direct flights per week between Dubai and U Tapao. Last year, nearly 66,000 tourists from the UAE visited Thailand, making them the 20th largest group of foreign visitors.
Wow.
So it looks like they were touting the sort of Middle Eastern travellers last year, and also Saudi Arabia in particular. There was some kerfuffle about 20 years ago over some diamond. I can't remember the story specifically, but they sorted things out last year, and the Saudi Arabians are also part of this move of a lot more Middle Eastern countries returning to Thailand. And how about that button there? TAT anticipates that about 150,000 tourists from the UAE will visit Thailand this year, which is expected to generate about 14 billion baht in revenue, averaging about 90,000 baht per visitor.
Wow.
Okay, so you're traveling 90,000 baht, which is about 3,000 US.
Yeah.
So when you go on a trip, do you spend 3,000 US dollars?
I do not.
So yeah, that seems like a lot of money to be asking from each visitor. Anybody got any comments about?
Yes. So Rack's View says it's a 737. That's all Fly Dubai has in their fleet.
Thank you.
As well as Anthony asking any news on the virus.
Any news on the virus? What do you want to know? Oh, look, I suppose people are, because there's been a return of Chinese tourists and because there has been a rise in COVID-19 cases in China, and people are putting two and two together and say there's going to be some sort of rise in COVID cases. I haven't checked this morning's figures, but I haven't noted, just looking over the past week, that there's been any discernible change, and that the Thai government say that they are ready and the hospitals are aware of the possibility. So I don't think there's anything to concern yourself about at the moment. If there is, we'll certainly bring that information to you. By the way, the U Tapao airport, they say it's in Chonburi. It is, but it's right near the border of Rayong, which is sort of the probably best known for car manufacturing. I probably got that wrong.
I think that's just you.
It's just me. Okay. Let's go to our next story today, Nick, and this is from the Facebook page of the PR Thai government. The Pad Thai ranks number 4 of the most ordered dish among Americans. So you being sort of half American, you might have some comments on this. Grubhub, one of the largest food delivery platforms in the US, revealed its report on the country's top food ordering trends last year, a year of takeout wrapped in layers of comfort. So the Americans call it takeout. Most of the rest of the world call it takeaway.
Both are interchangeable.
There you go. According to the report, Thailand's Pad Thai was the 4th most delivered dish to American doorsteps. Top 10 dishes: burrito, cheeseburger, cheese pizza. That's just a cholesterol sandwich. Whoa. And then Pad Thai. Now, why would Pad Thai, which, by the way, is not particularly healthy, why would that be the 4th most ordered takeout dish for Americans? That's rather surprised me. You got any theories on that one?
I couldn't tell you, but I would say that there are Thai restaurants in almost every town in the United States. Of course, the closer you get to the Midwest, the fewer there are. But in terms of popularity, Thai food is really popular along both coasts. So I really couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
I've noticed, for example, in my home country of Australia, that every town, well, when I was younger, every town used to have a Chinese restaurant because there are a lot of Chinese came to Australia in the 1800s to work in the gold mines, and we had the gold rush in Australia. And those families stayed, and you can get people sort of have a Chinese look who speak as broad an Australian accent or more than myself. So interesting there, also in that story, it says that the chicken quesadilla, Californian roll, fried chicken sandwich. Oh dear, this is what Americans are eating. Yeah. Caesar salad, probably more ranch sauce than salad. Chicken tikka masala, which are Indian dish, delicious. Boneless wings. Boneless wings.
Amazing. Yeah.
So there's a job for somebody who bones wings. Any comments from the viewers there? There's interesting there. Pad Thai registering number 4 in the most popular takeouts for Americans.
Yeah. Scotty G says Nick is full American, and nothing else really going on. Pad Thai is mostly noodles, so it would be a cheaper purchase by William Hartz. And now they're talking about an audio problem. Apparently, we blew up.
We blew up?
Apparently, our volume shot through the roof.
Okay. Hopefully that's okay. So, yeah, please tell us if there are any problems.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it was a wire. Okay. Yeah, maybe this was a little bit touchy. I don't know.
Okay. We'll try and not touch anything.
But as long as it's louder and we're okay, that's all right. Can I get some feedback?
We don't want feedback.
Well, as in, if it's
we don't want audio feedback.
Deafening people.
We don't want to deafen you. Just noting down at the end of that story, it says that each year Thailand exports food and beverage products to the US worth over 3.6 billion, especially food preparations and ingredients such as Thai hom mali rice, canned food sauce, and seafood. Everything, all the ingredients in a pad thai you'd be able to get in just a grocery store. Flat noodles, I'm not sure, there's 3 or 4 sauces in there, and chicken or prawns or shrimp or whatever you want to call it. Spring onions, nuts, nothing particularly fancy in pad thai. Interesting, that story.
A lot of the comments I get from that include Thailand, ain't that by Vietnam? Oh, y'all a bunch of communists. It's the very same. It's the same stuff every time. Or Thailand, ain't that by China? I heard you got a big hurricane over there. It's ridiculous.
We don't have hurricanes here. We have typhoons.
I know, but I can't tell anyone I'm from Thailand without them going on some tangent about Vietnam. It's very horrible.
So, well, I suppose to a lot of Americans of an older age, their only exposure historically to Southeast Asia was probably through Vietnam and the Vietnam War. What was the particular accent you were using there?
It was just a
generic southern accent. Southern accent. What is your accent?
I think it's
Bostonian.
It's a weird hybrid between East Coast and a little bit southern, because I'll say like caramel, or not caramel. Sorry, I'll say caramel, but I'll also say I pronounce the ARs a little bit more southern-ish, I guess. It used to be horrible though. It used to be absolutely Bostonian. It was horrible.
Okay. So we're going to use the USB mic. Sorry, everybody. I'm not sure what happened there with the mixer, but we apologise sincerely for the problems there. So I was on this particular story. I knew it was going to be a little bit like this. Police are investigating an allegation made by a Chinese tourist that she obtained a VVIP, that's a very VIP treatment upon arrival at the airport in Thailand by paying the police to cut the immigration queue. I'm not sure if that means getting to the front of the immigration queue or avoiding it altogether, which would be highly illegal. Pick her up and then use a police car to take her to her hotel in Pattaya. The woman, under account name posted a video clip on an app, a Chinese version of TikTok, on Friday.
TikTok is Chinese.
I was going to say, obviously that's a good thing to say. So the pickup and the transfer cost 7,000 baht, being sort of picked up at the airport and at the gate and taken through, and then an additional 6,000 baht for a siren and a police escort. The Chinese tourist said it took just 5 minutes to get through the airport, and the journey to Pattaya was swift. The Bangkok Post saying that the cops' Pattaya escort prompts a swift rebuke, and the Royal Thai Police Chief says it's a disgrace. And there we are. That's a shot she's taken of her police escort, taking her from Suvarnabhumi Airport to Pattaya, to her hotel, and 2 traffic and 1 tourist police officer who appeared in a video clip posted online while delivering a very VIP service to a Chinese woman have been identified, and they're facing a probe. And down the bottom there, the National Police Chief labelled the incident a disgrace to the force, and the 3 officers have been transferred to the command centre of the Royal Thai Police pending an investigation. Whether anything ever happens when these people are transferred, we never seem to hear, that obviously those police are being investigated. One tourism police officer and two general police. And of course, the question will be, did it go as a donation to the policeman's ball, or did it go into the pockets of some individuals? So we'll obviously hear more about that. Apologies, we're having to use our old microphone. We did seem to have some problems with our new mixer, and we just knew we were going to have some problems. We've got so many new toys and buttons to press. We're not exactly sure what was going to stop working first, but it was the mixer.
Yeah, according to that, it blew up.
It seems to be fine now, but we don't really want to plug it in whilst there are potential problems. So apologies for the slightly boomier sound.
Speaking of which, Preston says, money talks, especially in the land of smiles.
Well, yeah, if police, or not police, but if the immigration department provided a service to people, which was 6,000 baht, that would allow you to fast track immigration to get to the front of the queue, and if it was an option there, then, well, okay, and that money would have to go into the general revenue, not to the immigration officers. That would be the correct way to do it, and there should be a big sign when you arrive saying, fast track service, 6,000 baht. I think they used to have it at Phuket Airport. They had a fast track queue of 200 baht, and it was always full, but I haven't seen that for a long time now.
Frank in Thailand mentions only 15,000 Thai baht.
Yeah, I thought it was reasonably cheap, actually. It's a bit more on that story while some comments come in about it. The investigation being carried out to prove whether their use of police vehicles, as shown in the video clip, led to personal gains, and if there was anyone involved. Let me just save you a lot of trouble that I'm absolutely sure it has led to personal gains. And the chief and deputy chief of the officers division and their supervisors will also be investigated. Bypassing immigration clearance at the airport is unlawful, while official escorts are provided to only very important persons, politicians and state guests. So it will be interesting to see what happens with this VVIP person. And it also says, I thought this was a bit of a strange comment at the end of this story. The incident took place on Thursday about 10 p.m. Hong Kong flight HX 671. The Chinese tourist in the clip was also identified by name in the investigation, but her identity won't be disclosed. Why not? Shouldn't we know who this person was who short-circuited the immigration process? I think that's probably the biggest question that we should have, is did she short-circuit immigration completely? I think she would have had to have had somebody put a stamp, or if she's a Chinese citizen, she'd actually have to get a visa on arrival and have to pay the required payment. Did she bypass all that? I think that's probably one of the questions we need to know. The woman was, she travelled along with her mother. So did her mother get the same service? Obviously, she probably did. So I don't know how that's going to wash out that story. I hope we hear a bit more about it. But certainly seems that you can, for some 13,000 baht, get a short circuit through immigration and an escort down to a place as far away from the airport as Pattaya.
Yeah. William Hartz mentions, what were the other VIP services that they gave the young lady? As well as a full-time daddy saying, elite visa holders get VIP escort and transport provided too, so it's still pay for privilege.
Well, yeah, the people with an elite visa, they have their own queue, but they actually still have to go through immigration. It's not as if they get picked up at the gate and then escorted out to a taxi. They do have to actually go through immigration. And who wrote that? That was by
Full-Time Daddy.
So, Full-Time Daddy, you might just be able to, I'm not exactly sure, but are people on an elite visa greeted at the gate, or are they greeted once they go through immigration? So I'd be interested to hear that. My understanding is that they actually have a queue at the airport immigration, and which they can come through. So I'm sure we'll hear about that from somebody who's an elite visa owner.
Additionally, Matt Grayson mentions they have a fast track at Suvarnabhumi. The price depends on the option you go for. He did one, and it cost around 4,500 baht, and was picked up from airplane on a golf cart and whizzed through the airport.
Very nice. Also known as an electric vehicle. Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody
Not all golf carts are electric.
Most of them are.
Well, at least the ones I have been on, no.
Let me tell you, Nick's bike isn't electric because I could hear him coming from half an hour away. Thumping great big motorbike. Next story today from nationthailand.com. Kenyans set new records as the 7th Buriram Marathon draws over 30,000 runners. Runners from Kenya set new records at the Buriram Marathon in both the male and female categories. They had it on Saturday. More than 30,000 participants, including 1,063 foreign runners from 46 countries, joined the races on course that passes by the major attractions in the Northeast Province, in the city district there. And there's the winner of the marathon, who indeed got a new record. And the event features 4 races: a marathon, a half marathon, a mini marathon, and a fun run. And they ran it from late afternoon to evening. Just note that most of these marathons they run in Thailand, they usually run at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. But I'm also thinking that up in the northeast at the moment, it's, currently winter, and it might be a little bit cooler, and probably a good time of the year to run these. You done any marathons?
I've done the Bike for Dad before.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about as far as
on your motorbike or
no, on my bicycle.
In a treadly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think 30,000 people at a marathon, that's a stupendous turnout, and great to see people up there in the northeast. Buriram is becoming quite the sort of sports capital of Thailand because it's already got the MotoGP. Do you have anything to say? You could go in the MotoGP with your bike, couldn't you?
Not with my bike. You'd need a souped up 1000 with the headlights taken off, but be very fun.
When you go around corners, do you sort of go down with your knee on the ground?
Stick your knee out and just get a little tap going on. I don't do it because I don't have the right equipment, but yeah, if you're feeling more courageous, you could try and sometimes you get the foot peg to tap the bottom as well if the road is a little bit elevated. It's whatever. It's our activities as youngsters.
I can see disaster all the way there. A Kenyan runner, 30-year-old, set a new record in the men's marathon, a time of just over 2 hours, 8 minutes 57, let's call it 9 minutes, shaving almost 3 seconds off the previous record. And the Thai male and female runners finished their marathons just seconds behind. So good times there. And it looks pretty good. A lot of people turning out. And I just noticed that the infrastructure looks to me like that might be the same place that they run the MotoGP.
Yeah.
But lots of great signage and lighting. I think they've done a really good job setting that up, making it look very Instagrammable. And apologies ongoing for Nation Thailand and their sticky ads at the bottom. I can't get rid of them, so there we go. Okay, that's our next story. Any more to say about the MotoGP? Well, the marathon?
Marathon, no doubt mentions a lot of Russian runners in Phuket. Other than that, I think they're talking about disabled parking lot spots in there.
So the comment section, as per usual, having its own little discussion about things. Let's talk tigers and people near the Sinagarin Dam warned after a tiger has been caught on CCTV. People living in communities near the Sinagrind Dam in Sisawat district of Kanchanaburi have been advised not to forage in the forest or allow their children to play near the dam after a tiger was recorded by CCTV walking on the top of the dam. Now, this tiger has been identified as SLT022. I really think, given that they don't see too many of these tigers, that they could at least give them a name.
I think Fluffy would be a good one.
Fluffy.
Mittens.
It needs to start with a T, doesn't it? Like Terry Tiger or Thomas Tiger. But calling the poor tiger SLT022. But they identify them by their stripes and is confirmed to have come from the Salakpa forest. according to the wildlife chief. He said the tiger might be one of the 2 reported to have been sighted by villagers in the woods behind the Mahidol University. Camera traps have been installed in the woods, but they've failed to capture any images of either of the big cats. So I'm not sure. The CCTV image we have doesn't look like you can really count the stripes.
He looks like a big fellow, though. In comparison to the parking space as well, he's pretty big.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely not a little pussycat. Not like my 2 anyway. But you certainly can't, on the resolution of that, be counting the stripes.
No.
So I'm not sure if I could tell that from SLT022 any difference from SLT021. So the tigers there up in Kanchanaburi causing a little bit of concern for people. Of course, the tigers out in the wild, and if you're going to go and interface with the wild, you're going to run into a few tigers. I think there are some 2,000 tigers left in the wild in Thailand. There used to be a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Did we ever have any white tigers? Bengal tigers?
Well, I know there's one at the Phuket Fantasy because it's always in the show. I'm not sure whether they dyed it or gave it a paint, but it's a white, beautiful white tiger. Are they a breed or are they an albino tiger? They're
a breed. Mike Tyson has one, a white tiger. I don't know. It's just a cool thing to do.
Can you order them on Lazada?
I think so. You know, in this day and age, probably.
Okay. So white tigers. But yeah, if you've been up around Kanchanaburi and you've got a white tiger in the back of your photo, then send us a copy. And if you can count the stripes, good luck to you. How are we going with comments there from people? Apologies again for our audio mishap.
Plenty of name suggestions with Tiger Tim, Tig McTigface, very creative.
Tigface?
Tigface, yeah. Big Kitty, as well as a question from Thai Dog. Tim, do you have any idea why there are so many ambulances on 2nd Road in Jomtien every day? In the 5 months that I've been here, I've heard more ambulances, sirens than all my other 69 years combined. It's a very common problem here. I see about 4 ambulances a day now.
Well, there are, more tourists around, and as we know, for whatever reason, some tourists do like behaving badly. They do like jumping on motorbikes, which
without
they
any
rent.
Previous experience.
Without any previous experience, without health insurance, or certainly won't be valid, and probably without any valid licensing. And a lot of them do end up in the gutters and in hospital and starting GoFundMe pages. So we don't recommend that you should be amongst that group of people. I don't know what's happening on the 2nd Road of Jomtien, but if there's any of our viewers from Pattaya who know why there seems to be an influx of ambulances, what do you call a group of ambulances? Does it have a...
Ambulance-i?
No, not the plural.
Not the plural.
I'm thinking of a collective noun.
A fleet?
A fleet? A gaggle of ambulances?
Murder?
A murder of ambulances? That would be appropriate, or not. So if you know either the collective noun for ambulances, or if you know why there are more ambulances in Jomtien, we'd be happy to hear. Okay, we've got some comments also from the weekend programs, which we will address now.
So SS seemed very passionate about his experience with DHL on Saturday, mentioning, S. We're not advocating any other regimes. DHL Thailand, very expensive to send a letter to UK. £28, taken the piss, now never bother with DHL or Thailand Post.
So we were talking about handing out the, you might like to reach around behind you and grab one of them. The tigers, these are the stuffed tigers. You can hold it up to the camera there. Oh, God. I don't know the difference between a tiger and an elephant. So there you go. That is you might recognise the pattern. Of beautifully done. So these are made by Seeds of Change, who are based on Koh Saray in Phuket, and they've turned all my old crazy Hawaiian Songkran shirts into these toy elephants. And I've actually got a photo here. Here we go. So there's me, and you've got the 3 sizes. You've got a key ring size, then you've got a small, medium, and large. Well, that's that one there is actually the large size. And then we've actually got an extra large. Check out this baby here. Not me. Look at that. So that's been made out of about 6 or 7 different shirts, and using, that's a big, and that's obviously going to draw the most money. So we were talking about how we're going to send these to the people. We're going to auction them, and so the people with the winning bids, when we send them out, we were asking you what was the cheapest way to send them. I think Thailand Post won the way. Kerry Express came in a close second, but that particular listener didn't like the idea of using DHL.
William Mitt also mentioned last Saturday, I think you should spend at least 30 minutes talking about the microphones, maybe devote an entire show on the subject.
I think he was being a little bit sarcastic.
I think he was, yeah.
So, look, we apologise if we do have some problems, but we're usually very open about it, admit it, try and fix it as quickly as we can, and we don't pretend it didn't happen. We'll just discuss it briefly. Neither of us are experts in microphones or mixers, by the way. I noticed that it seems to be operating okay now.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's talking to the machine here. So, we've just got to sort that out. Well, it's not plugged in. That's why. That's why.
Okay. And finally, channel VIE. Thank you, Tim and Nick, for dressing up. So it's glad to hear some feedback about our slightly not so ridiculous shirts.
Well, we get to wear them in another 12 years.
I'll be looking forward to that.
This year is the lunar year of the rabbit. Good luck to all the people born in the Chinese New Year of the rabbit. I'm not sure what that bestows on you, what sort of personality traits. In reality, absolutely nothing. But I'm not sure what the Chinese New Year calendar says about people born in the year of the rabbit. Okay, and do we have any final comments from our viewers?
Yes. So JVM, a little bit more morbid, this one. Ambulances are for all the people dying. Lots of old people, lots of dying.
But why in the second row of Jomtien Beach? Or is there a particularly good little cafe there that they like to drop in whilst they're waiting for somebody to fall off their motorbike?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And was once an idea to do a program about retirement communities, self-contained ones, usually up near Chiang Mai, in case we need home health care services in the future.
I think that's a really interesting topic, Nick. I mean, there are people who are here, myself included, who in the next 20, 30 years, certainly by then, are going to need some, if we want to stay living here in Thailand, some sort of assisted care. And I believe that the growth in the future of assisted care facilities in Thailand for foreigners is going to be a great growth industry. So I think we'll see more of that. And as they mentioned, there are a couple of places up there in Chiang Mai. But I think we'll also see places opening up in other tourist hotspots, and that would include obviously around Bangkok, but places like Pattaya and maybe even some of the islands, maybe not. Phuket, of course, and Hua Hin, I think, would be a very popular place to set up an aged care facility. So we'll be interested to see what happens with that. That is actually a really interesting story that we'll try and do some more work on and see if we can at least isolate where they all are and get a list out there. Things like a Facebook page for TNT, a website we're still establishing. We've just gone to the stage of adding an extra person, and so I'm going to be working really hard to cobble together the 1,000 baht a month that I'm paying Nick. So, one step at a time. We're a little team, a tiny team.
Next from JVM, open up your eyes. Old, obese, and barely able to move people make up a large percentage of the Pattaya population.
But again, are they all queuing up in the second road of Jomtien Beach? We understand that there are older people, there are people who are
I find that a common accident here is the old slipping in the bathroom one.
Well, I think most of the worst accidents in the world happen in a person's home.
Yeah.
I'm very ginger these days when I'm sort of treading around tiled surfaces because back in Australia, I had a stairwell in an old warehouse I used to live in, and it had polished timber steps. Oh. And I used to sort of run around the warehouse in socks, and I slipped on those stairs in the socks. Do not wear socks on polished timber stairs. End of story. Because I was in crutches, I was in pain, it was horrible. And my bedroom used to be up on the second floor, and I couldn't get up to the bedroom, so I spent a few months on the sofa. So, yeah, at home can be really dangerous.
Further along, we have I hear the year of the rabbit gives you a lot of hair from KJ. Very funny. As well as, do they have nursing homes?
Hasn't worked yet.
Do they have nursing? Actually, what year are you? Chinese year.
I'll just check, Nick, whilst you read out a story.
Sorry. As well as that, read out a story.
Oh, just the comment or a thing?
Do they have any nursing homes in Patong?
Not in Patong. I think there might be one down Chalong or Rawai. 1999. Okay. 1959. You're going to laugh at this one. The year of the boar.
Oh.
BOAR. Okay. Which is a pig with horns. A boar?
Yeah.
Not a BORE, just in case you're chiming in. So, yeah, was on February the 8th in 1959, the Chinese New Year, and it's the year of the boar. Okay. Any more comments?
And other than that, it's good that actually mentioned the elephants. It's good that they have their trunk up, which is a sign of good luck, because trunk down is bad luck. You notice in all the flea markets, the wooden elephants tend to have their trunks facing in an upward position.
Okay, so these elephants are all about good luck. And the auction should start later this week. There will be a website you go to. You can look at all of them. There are 30 toy elephants in total, plus the big XL version. And then there's 5 of the little keychain ones, these ones here. So they're all going to be available for auction. And I think there's also a travel case, which includes an eye cover, it's a purse, and a sunglasses cover. So that's the travel pack. All those will be available for auction. 100% of the proceedings will be going to Seeds of Change, and you'll be paying directly into their account. They're a registered charity and supported and authorised by Living Waters Phuket, which is a registered charity here in Phuket.
Peter mentions, Louis and I say hi from the Stone Crab Pub.
Well, hello to the people from the Stone Crab Pub. I think we're meant to mention that every day.
Yeah, we are.
Somebody forgot. So Nick appears by courtesy of the Stoned Crab Pub. Yeah. Can you buy stoned crab?
Stone crab, no. Well, we do have seafood, but it's a joke. And now with the cannabis law, it even has a broader meaning. But,
okay.
Yes, that's in Rawai. You can find it on the road to Naiharn Beach.
If you type Stoned Crab Pub, which is really hard to say, into your Google machine, it'll probably come up, and it's Nick's family who owns it. So we mention them every day. So thank you very much to them. And I should also thank 5 Star Marine, our ongoing supporter. I should have mentioned them earlier. We'll get some little ads made and some slides, so we won't forget to say these things.
As well as that, Chinky Bad Boy mentions, when is the auction?
Well, the auction is going to be sort of ongoing. We might do one day where we actually auction them as well. And when we actually get all the auctions, which will be done online, we'll then, I think, say, this is the current bid, and live, do you want to make a bid above that? So I think that's how we're going to do it in 2 tiers. So we'll have like a bid where you can just send in your bids blind as to what you think you'd like to pay for one of these toy elephants made out of my old shirts. And then I think we'll do a day where we have a whole day dedicated. We'll probably try and get an actual auctioneer in, and you can comment with a bid. Now, we've actually got another toy coming up, but obviously we've got other technical things to sort out. But soon you'll be able to call us and talk to us live. But we've just got a few more things we need to sort out before we get to that. But everything from now on is about making the program more accessible to you while still trying to make sure we provide all the great news that we can. But your involvement is what it's all about. And we really appreciate you calling in from and commenting from wherever you are in the world. And it might even be Sunday night in some parts of the world.
Yeah. Further along, mention now, like usual, they're having their own conversation about what year they are. And other than that, we have greetings from Gio in California. Greetings from Tony, who just returned from PNG. As well.
Papua New Guinea.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing.
As well as further along with more Wombat Chinese New Year mentions.
Okay, good. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Nick.
Thank
from
you.
the Stoned Crab Pub. Thanks to our sponsor, 5-Star Marine. Somebody suggested we should put a 5-Star Marine
band, like a
sticker.
newscaster.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Have to give Sean a ring and see if he can afford that. And thank you for tuning in today. And sorry about a few hiccups today. We'll sort them out as we go. But this is your program, and we'll do our best to make sure we make it as accessible as we can. And we're going to be making it even more accessible in the next few weeks when we figure out the plumbing between all these toys. And I think there were a few people on the weekend that gave me some great guidance on Facebook. There was particularly Stephen and another gentleman whose name eludes me now. But you know who you are. They were giving me lots of guidance about getting things working. So thank you very much. Right. So with that, I'll say goodbye. And thank you, Nick.
Thank you. See you guys later.
We'll put these shirts into storage for the next 12 years. See you, everybody. And thank you for joining us live on our very first TNT.